Yes, good afternoon. Well, good evening now. Your Eminence, Your Grace, and my respective Philoptochos sisters, Barbara and Crystal, and your team, thank you for hosting this convention. A heartfelt, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. A heartfelt good evening from Needham, Massachusetts. A pleasure and honor to be with all of you this evening. I'll be presenting on behalf of the Humanitarian Relief Committee and Emergency Fund. Next slide, please.
Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
My window disappeared. Yeah.
Next slide, please. Perfect. So the Humanitarian Relief Committee Emergency Fund was established in 2007. Its genesis was in response to the 2007 disaster of Hurricane Katrina. The goal was to provide immediate assistance on the ground in times of devastating and catastrophic events, such as natural disasters and various focused humanitarian need. Our philanthropic arm reaches to a national and a global level. Next slide, please. Perfect. In addition to disbursements from the Emergency Fund, monies are often provided from the International Orthodox Christian Charities, IOCC Fund, and others. Funds dispersed through the IOCC are multiplied 7 to 1 on average with matching funds from the government. In cases of extreme need, special funds were established after the initial disbursement from the Emergency Fund. This was to provide ongoing assistance from the chapters for a specific cause. For example, the Nepal earthquake, the fires in the Periferia Attikis in Greece, and Hurricane Harvey in Houston, Texas. As weather becomes less stable and global health becomes more vulnerable, the Emergency Fund has become increasingly important. Over $500,000 was provided in the last 5 years in response aid to victims of natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, and fires all over the world. And in recent months, in response to the COVID-19 viral infection. Next slide, please. It is only when I synthesized the details in creating the slide did it become apparent the magnitude of the national and global reach that we have had. So under hurricanes, mostly in the US, earthquakes, Greece, Haiti, Nepal, typhoons in Asia, floods in the US, Pakistan and Serbia, tsunami in Japan, wildfires in Australia, Greece, and the US, tornadoes in the US. We have also extended humanitarian assistance to families in Greece due to the economic crisis in 2012, as well as humanitarian assistance to the expatriated Greece of Kosanoupoli in 2017. And lastly, the assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic in the form of Meals on Wheels to feed the hungry, a total of $25,000. And another $25,000 was sent to Feeding America. Those funds were drawn from the unrestricted administration as we didn't have sufficient in the emergency fund. But it's remarkable the level of philanthropy here. Next slide, please. This graph shows the annual disbursements for year 2007 to 2020 year to date. The trend line shows a steady normalized linear growth pattern. The dot that corresponds to 2017 represents a total of $165,000. This was an especially tough year worldwide. Our philanthropic assistance reached Greece for the earthquake devastation, the expatriated Greeks of Kosanoupoli, and numerous floods and hurricanes on our soil. Subsequently, in 2018, a great need was apparent, and we dispersed over $170,000 for the victims of the wildfires in Attikis region in Greece, and continued our assistance to individuals affected by Hurricane Harvey, and contributed to the repairs of Ais Elias, the Prophet Church in Dubuque, Iowa. What will be interesting to see is whether the trend will be linear and sustainable versus plateau and maintaining. Next slide, please. The pie chart provides an opportunity to discern the disbursement by continent, once again during the same time period. Important to note that majority, more than 50%, is domestic, slightly under $500,000. Europe disbursement is 26% at a little over $250,000, and Asia 10%, and Australia at 8% of funding disbursement. Next slide, please. Since 2007, we have dispersed more than $888,000. By the end of 2020, it likely will approach close to $1 million. Our philanthropic arm has reached 4 continents: the Americas, Europe, Asia, and Australia. 12 countries: Greece, Haiti, Nepal, China, the Philippines, Pakistan, Serbia, Japan, Australia, Puerto Rico, and our own USA. It is quite amazing. Many of you have been intimately involved with the creation and development of these distinct funds, such as the Cyprus Fund, the Aid to Greece, 2017 Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund, 2017 General Hurricane Relief Fund. These might be close to home for many of you. 2016 Louisiana Flood Fund, 2015 Nepal Disaster Relief Fund, and many more. Our collaboration with the IOCC has ensured our reach is greater and more effective. The National Philoptochos collects funds in November to replenish our coffer. However, when we have great need, for example, Hurricane Katrina or the Asian tsunami, we solicit separately and we raise significant funds. Next slide, please. So nearly 10 decades of service to people in times of need with empathy, compassion, discretion, and love. Your Grace, at the last National Board Convention in Chicago, you shared with us a deep and complex meaning of what Philoptochos encompasses. Philoptochos, friend of the poor. You made a poignant comment about Christokendrikos, all of us belonging to Christ. Philadelphos, friends in sisterhood and brotherhood. Philotimos, friend in honor. Your Grace, you wittingly said, Μην πιάσεις τον Έλληνα στο φιλότιμο. Philoxenos, friend of a stranger, we welcome everyone and all people. Philanthropos, friend of people and human beings. Philochristos, friend of Christ, and Your Grace, I quote your words, synergistikos του Χριστού, μαθητής του Χριστού. And lastly, Philotheos, friend of God, Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In our paramount and monumental work, we recognize the humanity in everyone. Last slide, please. It is no doubt palpable that when we come together, the level of energy, love, and compassion that we all share for one deliberate and focused vision, mission, and goal. Thank you all for your kind attention.